I don't want to be doom posting, but this is absolutely unbelievable. Look what Voitzilla has uncovered about the Epstein files.
The government is breaking the law with the Epstein Files. They were
Yo.
supposed to release all of them. They did not. They were supposed to explain redactions. They did not. They were supposed to have limited redactions that did not allow them to redact on the basis of embarrassment or for politically exposed people.
Yep.
They did that. They redacted actual people who were investigated in the Epstein case, not just the victims. And this is in violation.
And this is really funny. They redacted people because, you know, helping the victims, like censoring or redacting the victims, and they are just taking the literal term of victim and implying it like, oh, these people are also victims of the files. That's what they're doing. These people are victims of the files, even though they're the predators, like alleged predators or whatever. They are redacting their names as potential victims of the file because if whatever these files expose becomes true, they're also the victim, no? I laugh about it to not cry about it. This is insane.
Of the bipartisan law that Donald Trump signed only months ago. It's a law called the Epstein Transparency Act, and I've excerpted a few bits of it for you, where specifically they could not redact all the files. They had to release all of them by a certain day, which they missed. They didn't hit that deadline. They said they needed more time to review. But of the stuff we've already gotten, they've redacted more than they were supposed to. The law said.
Yeah, they did not only redact more than they were supposed to, they also did not release everything and lied about it. They were like, oh, these are all the files, and then a leak happened. like two other links to more documents of it. Like, you can't take the government seriously when they do this fucked up thing.
Says that they can't redact on the basis of embarrassment, reputational harm, political sensitivity. Basically, they can't just say like, oh, we don't like that guy's name is coming out. They only can redact on the basis of like national security or if it's a victim. And even if they do redact, they have to explain why they did so. They have to give a sum.
But look how national security is a keyword in here. They redacted so many things, and this is my personal, okay, I'm putting on my tinfoil hat, this is all speculation, but if this has something to do with national security, you guys are fucked! Like, this is insane! Insane!
Summary of redactions made, including the legal basis, and they did not do that either. Not only did they make redactions that clearly in the context are not victims at all, but rather possible perpetrators. They're redacting possible perpetrators, but they also haven't explained anything they did redact. And on the DOJ website, you can see that they are just not interested in following the law here because they say they're going to redact personal information pertaining to victims, which is according to the law. Then they say other private individuals. But that, again, is not what the law says. The law makes no provision for that. So the DOJ is sort of taking.
Yeah, the funny thing is, well, actually, it's not funny. It's quite sad, is what are the repercussions for it? Like, what are the repercussions for it? A bill? A bill? Like, do they have to pay a fine? Okay, they work for the government. The government is the one printing the money, so duh. Oh gosh.
Taken the law that was passed and kind of just like reinterpreted it, and even still, they're not complying with it because, as I said, they were supposed to release everything by a certain day. Here's the status of that. So far, 2.4% of the total pages that are under review have been released. They say they have, and I'm not even kidding, 5 million pages of documents related to Epstein. They also say they have
5,200,000 pages. I have no words.
Have 2 million documents under review. So far, they've released 12,000. And a lot of those were entirely redacted with no explanation.
It's just black pages.
Like, against the law,
Yeah.
no explanation of this. But what's crazy, and like what I can't wrap my head around is my entire life, I was led to believe Congress like had some power or were able to do things. They made laws and you had to follow those laws, right? That's really important, to follow the laws Congress passes.
Yeah.
But maybe not. We're seeing that the DOJ is really testing that here because theoretically, who would enforce the laws that Congress is, making? Probably the DOJ, the Department of Justice. What if the Department of Justice isn't following the laws? Who is going to get them in trouble? Because Pam Bondi is just flagrantly...
That is such a good point. That is such a good point. Like, besides what I just said with the fine, this is such a good point. If they do not oblige, what are the repercussions for not doing so? What are the repercussions for not doing so? Right?
Disregarding and reinterpreting some of the laws here. And there is a challenge to this in court. And the DOJ basically wrote in court that, well, actually, even if we did violate this, maybe there's no cause of action here. We aren't responsible for any of this because there was a petition of the court to appoint something called an independent monitor and special master. Specifically, this was to force them to comply with the law. This was written by a Republican and Democrat.
But wait a second. Are you not forced to oblige the law? And if you don't, you get punished for it? Like, what?
And it says, put simply, the DOJ cannot be trusted with making mandatory disclosures under the Act. And essentially, they have to put someone independent in charge of this whole event. And the Department of Justice wrote in today that they don't believe there's a cause of action here by the Epstein Transparency Act. So even if there is a consequence, if a statute does not specify a consequence for noncompliance with statutory timing provisions, the federal courts will not in the ordinary course impose their own coercive sanction. So what exactly can they get in trouble with if they don't comply with this? If they just redact whatever they want, they don't provide a summary of what they redacted, they redact people they shouldn't have redacted, who is going to get them in trouble? I mean, basically they're arguing to a court. They're like, well, they didn't.
They're pulling the Uno reverse card. This is an absolute circus. An absolute circus. And probably, and this is me putting on the tinfoil hat again, okay, this is absolute speculation. Trump knew. I was like, okay, release the files. Release the files. Trump knew. They weren't gonna do anything. He knew. I was like, okay, release the files. I don't care. You ain't gonna do jack shit about it. Oh my god.
Didn't say what's going to happen to us if we didn't comply with this. So
yeah,
that's kind of on them. It's actually amazing to watch the flagrantness in which they do this. It's so brazen. I want to play a clip of one of the Republicans who actually wrote this whole appointment of an independent monitor. He talks on breaking points about, what their goal is, and I just think it's worth listening to.
Pam Bondi is violating the law. She missed the December 19th deadline. She missed the deadline 15 days after that, where they had to justify redactions and give Congress a list of politicians who were involved in the Epstein Files. So they missed 2 deadlines. But I'm concerned more about what they're redacting and what they're withholding than I am about these deadlines. And that's why we've asked this judge to appoint a special master. It's might makes right. They're doing this. They're disobeying the law because I think they're trying to test and see if there's any way it can be enforced.
That's exactly what they're doing. They're like half...
Exactly. Like, if we do not comply, what are the consequences of it? Because if you think about it, if you think about the law, right, they have to release everything. But it's not written what happens if they don't. What happens if they don't? For example, they did not specify if you fail to redact whatever you need to redact until a certain date, until a certain deadline, you have to release all the files regardless. They did not specify that. Duh, fivehead.
Complying with the law, but specifically not with the parts that actually matter. And then they're telling the court, well, there's no cause of action to force us to actually do it. And who ultimately is going to stop them? Who's going to prosecute the government?
Yeah.
The government won't. I mean, what are we talking about here? And what's interesting about this is that clearly not everybody is happy about this. This has actually been...
Not everybody is happy about this. Are you kidding me? This is peak comedy. No, it's the sorry, I need to calm down. Wait. Oh, okay. No, it's the alleged perpetrators that are really happy with this.
Hugely humiliating for people who basically ran on the whole, we're going to release the Epstein Files. Remember Dan Bongino, the guy who's been humiliating himself on national TV saying like, oh, I looked at the files.
I've seen the whole file. Himself.
But also the guy who a few years ago was like, dude, we have to look into the Epstein Files.
There are a lot of people who are knee deep in the Washington swamp who are not telling you the truth.
But look how he looks. He's looking. Wait. Let me go back. Wait.
Who are knee deep in the Washington.
He's lying. He's lying. He's looking to his left side. He's lying. That's a liar! Allegedly, of course, allegedly.
A swamp who are not telling you the truth about serious allegations out there that Epstein may have had video and audio of people out there.
Well, he apparently was thinking about resigning amid the Epstein fallout after the July 5th memo disaster, and then actually did resign. The announcement was a few days before the final release of the Epstein Files, the latest deadline. He decided he was going to resign on that day. This is his last post about it. It was a busy...
That's suspicious.
last day on the job. This will be my last post in my account. Tomorrow, I will return to civilian life. And honestly, I can't think of a more humiliating thing to happen to somebody, to go into public office and be like, we're going to fight the deep state. And then leave having done nothing to fight the deep state. Literally, this guy has the cringiest post. Like, what I have learned has shocked me to my core. We cannot run a republic like this. I'll never be the same after learning what I learned. Dog, what did you learn?
Yeah, tell
us.
You're a civilian now. You're not part of this entire scheme. Tell us, bro. Tell us. Oh my God. This is unbelievably sad. And I feel so bad for American citizens that have to deal with this stuff. You know, it's their government. It's your government that is like this. Oh.
If you actually know something, if you actually found something in your investigation, in the year that you investigated the government, say it. Don't go back to your podcast making millions of dollars. Why don't you actually do something about it? Or when you are back at your podcast making millions again, why not tell everybody what happened? But we're not going to see that. We're going to see him continue to suck up to this administration, of course, even though it has betrayed the very thing that he came to the government for. Now, finally, I'll just say that I have to give a special mention to the Clintons, who are trying to do their own little weaseling out of the law maneuver. Because I don't know if you guys remember, the Clintons issued this whole statement that, we don't need protections from the Epstein Files. Just let everything out. And everyone was like, yeah, sure, that's fine. We don't care.
Yeah.
Literally, lock them all up, whoever's involved. And they said as much. Basically, they said, we need no such protection. And then Bill Clinton came out and was like, yeah, actually, we're not going to comply with that subpoena you guys issued. Because Congress was like, hey, you got to come testify. And they were like, no. We said we don't need protection, but actually, we're not gonna show up. And that was also a bipartisan thing, by the way.
What were the repercussions for that? Right? There were what were the consequences of that? Just public outrage? What does they do? They're still free. They still have millions in their bank account. You know, they still have power. Just do nothing.
subpoenaing the Clintons.
I think everyone knows by now Bill Clinton did not show up. And I think it's important to note that this subpoena
also look at this based picture right there.
was voted on in a bipartisan manner by this committee. This wasn't something that I just issued as chairman of the committee. This was voted on by the entire committee in a unanimous vote of the House Oversight Committee to subpoena former President Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Now, Hillary Clinton's supposed to show up tomorrow. We'll see what happens.
Though he's just said a bunch of nonsense just to make clear they told them to show up, but they didn't, so it's not on them. Bruh!
There, but with respect to the former president, he did not show up today.
And so they might hold Clinton in contempt. I mean, I don't actually believe it. I will not believe anyone will face any charges for this, any problems for this ever until I see it. I have such little faith in our government, given
there is so much blah blah around it and no action at all. Yeah. Like, you should not believe them. You should not believe them. This is insanity personified.
How apparently super focused we are on protecting the people in these files. We're so focused on it that I don't believe for a second that Clinton, that Trump, anybody, nobody's going to get exposed. Nobody's going to get locked up. It's clear that the DOJ will break the law to make sure that they don't expose anybody, ironically, breaking the law with relation to.
This will probably be one of those cases where maybe in 100 or 200 years from now, when everyone involved in this is gone, underground, under the earth, gone, locked out, they will dig into it and then they will publish what really happened. I think this is gonna be one of those things. They will do everything they can to not do it while any of the persons involved that have power is still alive. I think this is what will happen. This is what will happen. You and I will probably not know what ever happened. No, maybe in like 100, 200 years. Maybe 200 is a bit too much, but in 100 years, as soon as everyone is, surely gone and locked out, they will probably release everything and dig into it, because then nobody's gonna have consequences, right? No more applicable consequences. Only maybe the government, but like, oh yeah, that was, our ancestors who did it, the people before our office, they're gonna talk themselves out of it, and that's it. I believe to this point, this is what will happen. Yeah.
To Jeffrey Epstein, except for Jeffrey Epstein himself. That's the only guy that will face any consequences for this. Obviously, Ghislaine Maxwell is in the nice club fed now. She's not suffering as much anymore.
Yeah.
She's running the place over there. Epstein's that who's facing accountability? It's actually crazy.
Yeah, no one.
No
one's gonna face accountability. They will only assign accountability to their name when they're gone, as soon as they're gone. 100 years, maybe 80, I don't know. But you get what I mean. As soon as everyone has lived their life to the fullest and had a beautiful, comfortable life, that's when this thing will be digged up and when everything's gonna be released for real. I don't think in our lifetime we will know about this. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. No. Maybe when we're old in retirement homes, having a LAN party there, and there's gonna be like news, this and this happened, because these people usually are all older than we are. Maybe then, but I doubt it. I doubt we're gonna get such good tea in retirement home, honestly. I doubt it. I don't want to be a doom poster, but I doubt it.
Just wanted to talk about this. I wanted to flag the fact that the DOJ is basically making the argument that, like, there's no way, even if we didn't comply, you could ever force us to comply, which is, a crazy thing to say. But maybe we should have expected it, given that Pam Bondi has been literally running on this promise since early on. Someone found this old clip of her.
Florida ranks 3rd nationally in calls for help for human trafficking, where young women and children are enslaved and abused.
Oh, the acting is so bad. Let me go back.
Nationally, and calls for help for human trafficking, where young women and children are in.
Where young women and children, and the face is doing nothing. I don't know if it's the Botox. Let me give her the benefit of the doubt. I don't know if it's the Botox, but the eyes tell me she does not care. I might misinterpret, but okay, let's move on.
Enslaved and abused. I knew we needed all hands on deck. And I'll fight to put human trafficking monsters where they belong, behind bars.
I mean, let's give it up.
You know my opinion. I will not triple down.
Up for Pam. She has been keeping human trafficking monsters behind bars.
Yeah. This is oh, we are so cooked. Because if the US can get away with this, other countries will follow. Other governments will follow. They will. They will. Okay? They will. We are doomed. We are so doomed.